Friend, you say you don't have time, and I'm calling bullshit. Here's the deal. We all have the same 24 hours. It's how we choose to spend that time and what we choose to spend that time on that makes all the difference. And we tell ourselves these stories every single day. I don't have time. There's just not enough time. Who has the time? I'll take care of it when I have time. At some point, things will slow down and then I'll have time. I just don't have it right now. I said that to myself for years. And for years, I believed it. And here's the kicker. I was lying. I wasn't lying on purpose, but it doesn't change the fact that I was lying. I had the time, and so do you. When I did a time study, when I looked at my time, I read the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's a great book, highly recommended, totally shifted things for my weight loss journey. But when I did a time study as a result of that book, I saw very clearly, very plainly that the time was there. I had the time. It was what I was choosing to spend that time on. But what I really needed to do, just as important as the actual time study and the realization that I had the time, was understand why I couldn't see that I had the time. Why did I believe the lie I had been telling myself for years that there was no time? And that is when everything really started to shift for me in a very real way. And it can for you too. So I'm sure you've heard of the term habit stacking. This is something James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. And it wasn't something I had heard about actually when I was 303 pounds. I really didn't understand the concept of habit stacking. I might have heard the term, but I didn't know what that meant in practical application. And it's really the idea that you pair a new habit with something you're actually already doing. And so that sounds really simple, right? I mean, okay. So you mow your lawn and you get your steps in. You make dinner and you listen to a podcast. You curl your hair and you do your arm weights. You sit in the pickup line and you practice deep breathing. The time is literally already there. And yet we keep saying we don't have that time. So I want to ask you, if that time exists, why aren't you using it? Because I don't actually think this is a scheduling problem. I don't think you need a better planner or a more optimized morning routine, although those things help for sure. What I actually think this boils down to is the root of the identity you're choosing. I was choosing. So here's what I know from losing 175 pounds personally, and almost more importantly, from realizing throughout that journey what had kept me stuck for the decades before that at 303 pounds. And that I don't have time story, it was actually a survival skill. I know. It doesn't sound like it should be or that makes sense, but my nervous system learned a long time ago that staying the same, that staying as is safe, even if it isn't the healthiest choice. That change is actually risky. And so when an opportunity shows up, even a small one, even habit stacking, like curling my hair while I'm doing my arm circles, resist it. Lazy. It's not because I don't care. It's not because you don't care. It's because doing the thing means becoming someone who does the thing. And your identity just isn't there yet. And so at 303 pounds, I didn't see myself as someone who moved her body. So even when I had the time, and I did, I couldn't access it because it didn't belong to the version of me that I believed I was. And I thought I hated that 303-pound version of myself. And then I realized she wasn't the enemy. She was just scared. She was actually a scared little girl in a full-ass large woman's body. And so once I realized all of that and I realized what I was working with, that's when I started to shift things slowly, as James Clear recommends, starting small, into the new version of myself, into the version of myself that I wanted to become, that I already was on the other side of this weight loss. So let me give you examples of what habit stacking actually looks like when it's working. So I actually saw a really beautiful example of this today. There is a business coach / healer that I follow, and she every morning does a coffee and chat. So she gets her coffee together. She's in her jammies. She sits down and has a chat, and we interact with her. And she does this on Instagram Lives. And I love it. It's a great way to start the day. It's very motivational. And today I went to, tune in, and she was actually walking. And, you could tell she had her selfie stick, and she was walking and doing the live. And she said, I have a crazy day today. The only way I was getting in my steps and my walk, which is very important for me, for my nervous system, and connecting with all of you, which is also very important for me, because that's purpose-driven mission work, was to combine the two. And she very beautifully illustrated doing it a different way, finding a way, right? She didn't say, I don't have the time for the walk. Or she didn't say, I don't have time for the coffee chat today. She creatively said, I'll stack these two together and I'll make it work. Because both were important to her, and she realized I didn't have to give up one for the other. And so there were no extra hours carved out. There were no excuses. There were no rearranged schedules for her. She just decided that those two things could happen at the same time. And so if she can do that, you can do your squats while you brush your teeth. I just did that this morning. You can listen to affirmations as you fall asleep. I do that every night. It's not wasted time. It's intentional time. You can work on a creative project you've been wanting to do while you sit and watch TV with your spouse and get in your favorite shows. I often will set up in watercolor. I like to do handwritten cards for friends, and I like to do watercolor on the front, and then I do a handwritten message on the inside. And I'll just sit and do those while we're watching TV. You can practice deep breathing while you fold laundry. Another habit I stack into folding laundry is I will send intentional love and healing and prayer to the person in my family whose laundry I'm folding. I hate to fold laundry. So I made it into this beautiful practice where I am being very intentional at sending love, light, healing, protection to the people I love as I fold their laundry. Gratitude for them, for everything that they represent and are and bring to my life. So this isn't a hack. This isn't like life-changing stuff, right? It seemed pretty self-explanatory. It's common sense. If I can do this, I can do this. So the decisions aren't centered around when do I find the time. The decision is actually, am I the kind of woman who uses the time she already has? So now if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, but I still can't make myself do it. You're saying all of this and it makes sense and I get it, but it isn't working for me. I can't make myself do it. And maybe you don't even really want to right now. Stay with me, because that is exactly what we need to talk about next. So if this is hitting you somewhere real, make sure you're subscribed, because this is the work we do here, not just the what and the how, but the why it's hard and how to actually shift it. The skills you need to survive your life, those are the same skills you're using right now to keep yourself from changing. The I don't have time keeps you from having to try. The I don't have time masks the I'm afraid to try. And behind the I'm afraid to try is I don't want to fail. Not again. So if I don't try, I can't fail. And I get that. I wore that too, all over my body. So here's what I want you to consider. What if you started treating the time you already have like it matters? Not dramatically. We don't need to change the world here. Not a whole new schedule. We don't need a big pattern interrupt where your nervous system freaks out. Just at the pickup line while you're folding the laundry, the 2 minutes while your coffee brews. What if that woman, the one who uses those moments, is actually very deep inside you? She's already who you are. You just haven't let her show up yet. You just keep drowning her out. Because I lost the weight and I didn't think I could. I had almost given up hope on myself. In fact, I think if this last time wouldn't have worked, I'd still be 303 pounds. I would have given up and said, this is just who I am. It is not in the cards for me to be this current version of myself. And I'll just have to accept the consequences of what comes from that. I was there, but I decided to give myself one last chance, one last try. Because when I lost the weight this time, what I really found was myself, the one I had buried for all that time underneath all that weight. because I was afraid to change, because my nervous system wasn't ready, because I didn't believe it was possible, nor did I believe I was worthy. And I just didn't want to fail one more time. And so when that shift happened, everything else in my life changed. And the time, it was never a problem again. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing, one moment in your day that already exists and stack something intentional on top of it. Just one. You can do one. Just one. Start small. Don't make it huge, but pick one thing, stick with it, get really good at that one thing. And once you feel comfortable with it, once it has solidly taken root, that's when you layer in the next thing. Now find another moment in your day that you can be intentional on top of and just start stacking them one at a time until before you know it, the woman looking back at you in the mirror is the woman on the other side. And if you want to go deeper on the why not enough time story, keep showing up because we're going to go into what it's actually protecting and how you overcome that. And while you're at it, why don't you drop in the comments below what you feel like you're actually protecting yourself from and where you get stuck? Help other women feel less alone by sharing some of these things. Let's create a community where we all feel safe and seen and supported and normal. And if this resonated, share it with a friend, share it with somebody you love that you feel like could benefit from it. And of course, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. The algorithm puts a lot of weight in these things, and it's the best way that this message gets out to other women. And that's why I get out of bed every day. So thank you for watching. You've got this, and I'll see you on the next one.